the browser is being seen in the meeting room. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So for folks that weren't here when I was setting this up, this computer is very slow. So I appreciate your patience as I move between windows and navigate the technology. We are working on this computer setup, but for now it's just going to be a little bit slow. And I think that'll actually help with our patience and processing. There's always an upside to this stuff. But let me turn this into full screen here. Voila. So yes, welcome to Introduction to Generative Artificial Intelligence, GenAI. I am Greg Bem. I'm one of the librarians here. I started at SCC back in August, technically September, but I was here in August. And I've been running these sessions and similar ones since. So this is kind of a passion of mine. We'll get into that in a second. A couple things about this presentation and the way this is set up. So you all are here live. This is being recorded. Folks that are not able to participate today in person or online or are not interested in doing so will still have the ability to watch the recording. You all will have the ability to watch the recording if you find it captivating enough to revisit. You'll also get the slides. So if you signed up and you're on the Outlook event, you will get an email from me later today or later this week with that file. And one note about this presentation, this is new from last quarter. I decided to replace all of the Microsoft PowerPoint images with DALL-E images. So there's going to be some weird imagery in here. This is an image that was generated by a tool called DALL-E, DALL-E 3. And note the strange text at the top, which is something that the image generators tend to do. And otherwise, stay tuned for some more fun visuals. And then for those of you that are online, feel free to throw your questions, comments, ideas into the chat. Those of you that are in person, if you want to view the chat, you're welcome to join the presentation and participate that way. And if you're in person and you want to raise a comment, question, or idea, feel free to raise your hand and I'll try to call on you when I can. Any questions, or are you ready to get started? Good to go. All right, good morning. And let's go. So what is this workshop? This workshop is very introductory. It's an introduction to what we call generative artificial intelligence, GenAI. Which is popping up all over the world. Already has popped up all over the world, actually. And this is a look at using GenAI ethically, productively, and critically. That is a phrase or a three-pillar concept that actually, welcome, it was developed by our college's e-learning team. And I loved it so much that I'm borrowing it as a frame for looking at this work. This presentation is also a stepping stone in what we call digital literacy. Has anyone heard of digital literacy before? Digital literacy is essentially getting used to technology and technological tools and learning about how to use them in the digital world. GenAI being a new category of such digital literacy. This is also a workshop for the college from the library. This is not coming from a specific program. This is not coming from the college's leadership. This is coming from the library and myself as a librarian. So there's a level of neutrality and a general scope to this presentation. What this workshop is not, this is not a deep dive into all of the underlying technology of generative artificial intelligence. It's not an advanced look at specific tools. I mentioned it's not developed by a specific administration or program. And, oh, that is a typo. It is not the only perspective on GenAI. That actually looks like a GenAI typo too, which is kind of funny. So there are other ways that you can engage with generative artificial intelligence out there in the world. Countless YouTube videos all over Instagram, TikTok, There's lots of articles, research articles available through the library, books, including some that we have out there in our library. There's a lot of ways. This is one way, and I hope that you'll get a little bit out of this as being local to where you all are at this college. So our objectives today include providing basic information on GenAI technology, highlight the latest tools, the basic functionality and trends of GenAI, share higher education and professional contexts. So this is specifically about students and educators and the jobs that you all might have. Identify potential problems and benefits of the technology and ethical considerations. Recommend practices for using GenAI at the college. And our agenda today, we'll do some brief intros. We'll talk about the basics of GenAI, some of the common tools out there. Some of you might know them already. Some of you may have heard of them. And then context of use. So why are we using them, and in what contexts are we using these tools? We'll dive briefly into the issues and benefits of these tools, and then recommendations, especially for college students, because there's a lot of problematic stuff that we're seeing in higher ed, and especially the way some students are using the tools, and also the way some educators are talking about the tools or not, and some conflict that arises as a result. Does that sound like a reasonable agenda today? Okay, cool. Been online, so we'll keep going. Here's me. How many of you think this looks like me? Okay. How many of you don't? Okay. Yes, online, not bad, says one of the participants. Yes, so this is another image from DALL-E, specifically a prompt that I entered to ask it to create a male librarian with stylish glasses, a bald head, a beard, and no mustache. I asked it many times for no mustache because I don't like mustaches. Still gave one every time. I mentioned that I've been a librarian here since September, but I am actually I've been employed much longer as a librarian since 2013. I moved to Spokane from Seattle, but I'm originally from Maine. I spent time in Rhode Island, Philadelphia, and I've lived 2 times in Cambodia, where I've worked on libraries. And my first experience with the tools we're talking about today was actually right when they emerged from the ether. And they came out in fall of 2022 publicly. Specifically ChatGPT and DALL-E were emerging, and I jumped on that technology and ran with it. So I've been playing around with these tools since then, and these ones that we're talking about today and many others, and it's become a passion of mine. Okay, here's the exact prompt for this one. A happy male librarian in his late 30s, black and white pen illustration, slightly abstract, no mustache, shaved head, long scribbly chin beard, stylish glasses. This is just an example of what we're going to be talking about today. When you use these tools, you ask it to create something with an input and you get an output. Sometimes the output is accurate and fulfilling of your input, and sometimes not quite. So do some intros. This, again, is optional with your name. If you want to remain private for the recording, you don't need to use your name, it's fine. But I am interested in hearing about who's in the room today, and then what program area are you in, and have you ever tried GenAI tools before? Tools like ChatGPT, Bing Chat, or Copilot, DALL-E, Midjourney, anything that you might think, maybe Snapchat, you've used their GenAI tool. Would love to hear about it. So we're going to start in the room and go around the room, and then we will move into the online room. So let's start here. Again, your name is optional if you want, and then program area, and have you tried these tools before?
My name is Brianna, and I'm currently getting my associate in applied science for general business. And not really, I mean, other than like Snapchat, and they had like one little one, I think it was like on Pixar or something, that you can upload your pictures into GenAI. That's it.
Okay, cool.
So my name is Joseph. I'm an independent game developer pursuing game dev, just not taking any classes or anything, just on my own time. I've used ChatGPT for like programming questions. It'll generate code for like math formulas.
Awesome. Math formulas, code, yep. I know we're going quickly because we have so many folks, so forgive my short responses to each of your
My name
intros.
is Caitlin, and I'm also in the business journal with AA. And I've never used any AI tools at all.
Okay, welcome.
I'm Elaine. I'm in the hospitality management program and it started this quarter. I did a little bit of tech stuff at WorkSource last quarter, trying to, get ready for doing online classes. And my business writing class, actually had us registered for this. So we'll be at the next two as well.
Nice.
I'm Katie, I'm a business technology instructor at SEC, and I have dabbled in ChatGPT. That's about it.
Welcome and welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's go in up here in front.
My name is Vladimir. I'm from Ukraine. I'm new in this country. I learned English in Spokane Community College, and I use ChatGPT.
Great, welcome.
My name is Mason. My name is Mason. I'm in accounting and I haven't used any AI.
Okay.
My name is Rafael. I'm in the marketing and advertising program, and I've never used GenAI before.
My name is Nafisa Zafari, and I'm in the ADT business, and I use a ChatGPT and AI for fixing graph.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm in the medical office receptionist program, and I have not used any AI.
Okay.
Amanda, I'm pursuing administrative assistant, and I've used ChatGPT and Bard before.
And Bard. Okay, great.
My name is Olga, and I'm going for medical office receptionist, and I have not used GenAI.
My name's Jeff. I'm looking for an AA in business management, and just the other day I used Copilot for the first time just to see kind of what it was about.
Awesome, Copilot, Microsoft's AI product, yeah.
I'm Kingston. I'm going for a marketing and applied sciences degree, and I've used it quite a bit for like photography and video editing.
Oh, awesome, nice. Great, welcome everyone in the room. Let's move online, and sorry about some of the weird PowerPoint stuff. It's doing what it's doing. So going to invite anyone to unmute and start with an intro as I switch screens here.
My name is Veronica, and I am getting my AA in administrative office management. I have not used any GenAI tools other than the stuff that my kids have shown me.
Okay, welcome.
My name is Mel Brooke. I'm a faculty member at in the business technology department. I've used ChatGPT and Bing Chat primarily. Good to see you all.
Welcome.
My name is Natalie. I'm taking effective business writing, and my family is using ChatGPT 4 to edit documents, to write code, and we've shown relatives how to pre-write a lot of structured emails, like invoices.
Welcome.
Hey, my name's go ahead. Sorry. My name's Danny. I'm in the health information management program, and I have not tried any Gen AI tools.
My name is Talisha. I am in the health information management group. I have used the ChatGPT. I've used it for editing different things. Also, I've used it for helping with content creating pieces to, kind of refine the way you want to say specific things to make them sound a little bit more professional and whatnot on our social media for my boyfriend and I's content creating.
Okay. right, no pressure to unmute. Oh, okay, we've got another one.
My name is Chris. I'm down here at the Newport Center, just taking career transitions, but I've been using OpenAI since it came out to create pictures to write with and to look for solutions to the country's problems. I also like to make chatbots.
Awesome. Welcome from Newport.
I'm Barb Flock, and I'm with the HIM program, and I haven't done a lot, just dabbled a little in ChatGPT.
Nice to see you, Barbara. Okay, we've got a few folks online. Thank you for your intros in text. I think a bunch of you also unmuted. We've got Natalie, I think you unmuted earlier, doing business writing. Family is ChatGPT 4.0, used to write code. Brandy is in health information management programs, never used GenAI. Treva, who's going for administrative assistant degree, used AI a little bit for outlining brainstorming. Adrienne, health information management as well, dabbled in ChatGPT. Andrea, administrative assistant degree, outlining brainstorming. Samantha Hilton teaches business technology departments, use ChatGPT for fun stuff like what to make for dinner. And April, who's in health information management or health information programs, played around a bit from ChatGPT. And Natasha, who's an English instructor and has used it for text messages and letters, professionally for helping build instructions. Wonderful. Well, I think it's clear to me at least, that we have a wide variety of folks in the room today. So I'm super excited. I always appreciate having different perspectives and a variety of perspectives to contribute to the conversation. So I hope that, as we go forward in the presentation, you will apply what I'm saying to where you're at. I'm not specifically going to be talking about any one of your perspectives or situations. There are so many of them, as we now see, but this is the kind of thing where hopefully you can take something away from my presentation and go further with it on your own. Because of the number of folks in the room, I'm going to skip this additional introduction activity, but I want you to be thinking about it. Even though we're skipping it, I'm going to just mention what it's really getting at. As we go through these slides and as you are receiving the information from my presentation and we're talking, think about how you're feeling about all of this. Is this nerve-wracking to you? Is it a lot to think about because it's new for you? Is it second nature? Is it something that you take in automatically, feels really comfortable? How are you feeling around GenAI? And then that might help lead you to thinking about what you might do with it, or how you might even just explore it if you've never used it before. So let me move back into the slideshow here. And for those of you that are continuing to add to the chat, I will look at that in a bit. So let's dive into the heart of the presentation here. Will the PowerPoint gods be okay today? Think happy thoughts. Might have to just not use presentation mode. Okay. Oh, there, it worked just as I clicked on it. Okay. There. Can the folks in the room see this okay? Okay. So what is artificial intelligence? If we step back and think outside of GenAI, which are the tools we're going to be talking about today, we can start with artificial intelligence broadly. Some of you may have read sci-fi novels or seen some movies like WALL-E or some of the bots and some of the AI tools that are in Star Trek or Star Wars. But it's much broader than that. According to Google, the definition is that it is concerned with building computers and machines that can reason, learn, and act in such a way that would normally require human intelligence, or that involves data whose scale exceeds what humans can analyze. So at human intelligence or bigger. And then AI as a field, so as a field of knowledge, encompasses many different disciplines. It's not only techies, it's not only technology, but it can include computer science, data analytics and statistics, hardware and software engineering, linguistics, neuroscience, and even philosophy and psychology. How this field translates to all of you, especially your future professions or your current professions, goes even beyond this. We saw game development, we saw marketing, we saw business, we've seen health, interest from health folks. So there is a lot that AI can touch and can be integrated into, but it really has to do with the technology that is where we're at with our intelligence or beyond human intelligence. When we move to thinking about generative artificial intelligence, according to IBM, quote, generative AI refers to deep learning models that can generate high quality text, images, and other content based on the data they were trained on. We'll get into this a little bit deeper, but basically you can think about these tools and this technology learning the same way human intelligence requires learning in order to accomplish a specific task. But the data piece, the data that these tools are trained on, is the crucial piece. What are they trained on? Where is that information coming from that they can learn from in order to accomplish those tasks? Get into that in a second. This is a cool image that my colleague Linda shared with me recently. And the text is quite small, so I'll kind of describe it here. The landscape of AI and its use cases. So the smallest realm of AI is GenAI. It's what we all have access to with these tools. And this is for content generation, for the image, video, text, audio. If we go broader than GenAI, we start to get into other types of AI technologies, artificial intelligence technologies. So remember how I defined artificial intelligence with these tools that use human or higher intelligence to accomplish things. So we have facial detection. You see those systems at airports, at Amazon grocery stores, that kind of stuff, your iPhone. Image recognition, speech recognition, pattern recognition, and data mining. These are vast systems that are using automated technology in order to accomplish large numbers of tasks with a lot of our devices. And it's not just for generating content. It's for tracking data. It's for providing credentials. It's for a lot of different types of things that happen in our everyday life that goes beyond what we see out there on our computer or devices. From traditional AI, if we go broader, we get into this realm called artificial general intelligence. Now, there's a lot of really interesting YouTube videos and books on the concept of artificial general intelligence, or AGI. But if you've seen a movie like WALL-E or 2001, have any of you seen those movies? You know, the I cannot do that, Hal, that kind of AI, like has complete control over what's going on. That's where we're going with that kind of technology. So advanced virtual assistants, medical diagnosis or treatment, tools that can not only be aware of, but address and respond to climate change, assisting scientific research, personalizing education, basically doing a lot of different types of tasks in a specific context that is much broader in scale than some of the smaller versions of AI, including GenAI. And then finally, ASI, which I'm not super familiar with, but this is, you can think of this as the beyond human. So artificial superintelligence. Have any of you seen the movies like Her or Ex Machina? Those were pretty popular like 5-10 years ago. That's when you have a being or in the case of Ex Machina, an android that has the intelligence within them, and they are clearly well beyond where humans are able to get in terms of what they're able to think about and accomplish. In Her, the beings get so intelligent that they're like bored with humans and they all leave. And then the humans are sad. In Ex Machina, again, get bored, but kill the human master and leaves. There's a lot of these types of stories that are out there. It's kind of the shadowy side of AI technology, but that is where that kind of AI landscape heads if we keep pushing our understanding of what it is and where it's going. Any questions on any of those types of AI? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat either. We're gonna rope it back in and just talk about the small bubble for the rest of this presentation. As much as I'd love to talk about sci-fi for the rest of today. And some of it is sci-fi, but some of it is very real, where we're headed. And there's a lot of futurists in the world that love to talk about how these are stepping stones and moving forward with technology is going to drastically change our lives. So let's go back to GenAI. GenAI uses what's called large learning models, LLMs. That's the type of technology for accomplishing those tasks. That's how it learns. So you can think about an example. Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3 is GPT. Have you heard of ChatGPT? GPT and ChatGPT includes the language model or the learning model in its name. These models use large sets of data, millions and millions of documents, to learn what something is in order to accomplish a task. So we had one participant earlier say they like to use it for dinner recipes or dinner suggestions. Some of these platforms have access to millions of cookbooks, and they synthesize all of the information in those books in order to understand what a pot roast is, or a casserole, or a burger. And then when you ask it, give me a recipe for a gluten-free vegetarian burger, for example, it's able to do that because it's learned, it's become aware of what that means based on all of those data pieces that it's looked at. These tools require user input to create output. So unlike some AI platforms, where it's all automated, it's all running on servers or in other tools that we're not accessing. The big thing about GenAI is that each and every one of you is involved in the process. So as a person that's involved in the process, you need to think about what you want out of the tool in order to get something out of the tool. It involves a very active relationship with the technology. The qualities of GenAI also include that they're developed by a lot of different people. I heard OpenAI earlier today, and they're an organization, a business, for-profit company that's working on some of the most prevalent tools out there. But Microsoft is, Facebook is, Google is. Also, organizations are trying to get on this, nonprofit organizations. While there's a lot of people trying to make money in this world, there's also a lot of folks trying to create free or alternative tools that can be used by everybody. And individuals have a huge stake in this as well. So if you're interested in developing your own GenAI, you can. There is a very large community of individuals who are trying to do it either for pushing the technology forward, making money, maybe both, or being a watchdog and interacting with the tools that already exist to make them better and refined and more transparent. When we talk about the tools, and we're going to go into a few examples in a couple minutes, they're free, paid, or both. In the case of ChatGPT, there is a free version, there is a paid version. In the case of Midjourney, which is a popular image creation tool, used to be a free version. Now there isn't. It's only a paid platform. So be aware that this emerging technology comes with a price tag for each and every one of you. Some schools are thinking about or getting on the bandwagon of GenAI, and they're buying all of their students' accounts, like Arizona State University just announced they were going to be doing that last week. But a lot of schools, including ours, we don't do that. So you need to think about this in relationship to you as a student, as well as a future professional. If you want to become well-versed in this technology, you may have to invest in it with your own money. These tools are usually available through browsers or mobile apps, or maybe they're embedded. So I know someone mentioned Snapchat. Tools like Snapchat, WhatsApp, they have these tools in the app now. Some apps that we use for other things that we would never associate with GenAI, like Microsoft Office tools or Photoshop, now are bringing in this technology into them. Microsoft Windows now has, in a lot of its versions, a Copilot button, and they're actually now making all of the laptops, like with HP and stuff, having an AI button, a Copilot button. So you just press the button on your keyboard, and it opens up the AI assistant on your computer.
I just read something that announced that the new, it's like the new Volkswagen GTI. It has ChatGPT in the actual like heads-up display for the 2024 model.
Wow. So yeah, for folks online, that was an automotive company is bringing AI, Volkswagen is bringing AI into their vehicles. I hadn't heard about that. So yeah, so it's emerging in a lot of surprising ways, not just in its own isolated space, but integrated into other things that we're already using. When we think about the outputs of GenAI, we can get things like what's on the screen here, images that are often fun and interesting. But we also get plain text, formatted text. So these tools can often create tables, computer code, heard about computer code earlier with the intros, headers, that kind of stuff. We have still images, we can get animated images, video, music and audio. And I see a hand raised.
Is that I heard about people like making fake videos with images of people. Is that what people were using?
Yeah, so for online, there's a question about creating fake videos or fake content with these tools. And yes, we won't go into that in this presentation, but deepfakes and content that is emulating other content is happening. And we're actually going to cover that in the ethics workshop coming up. So yeah, definitely. So this is kind of the range of the basic outputs, but you know, things are evolving, things are changing. What's coming up in the future, who knows? There's going to be more outputs that can be generated. These tools use prompts and iterations. This is really important. So unlike using Google to search for information and creating your answer by way of search results, these tools allow for iterations. Does anyone know what that means or want to define that, what an iteration is?
I guess iteration, like taking what it was inputted before and then applying that to subsequent research, searching, I guess. So it like remembers in a way.
Yes, exactly, it remembers. So when you start a conversation, a chat with ChatGPT, and you enter a prompt in, it's not one time. You can ask for that gluten-free vegetarian burger and then say suddenly that you are interested in having more protein. And it will rewrite its original response and maybe throw on some vegan bacon or something. Or you could say, I actually want this recipe in the form of sliders, not just a single burger. I like quantity. And it'll do that. So you're having a conversation. You start with one prompt, one question, one idea that you want it to help you with, and then it moves forward in the conversation as needed. The prompt is literally a phrase or keywords that are entered into the search box, or the prompt box, and we'll look at that in a minute. And it's iterative, it's conversational. And what this means is you can not only know right off the bat how to use the tool, but you can also gain an understanding of how to communicate it with the tool over time. How many of you have heard the term prompt engineering? You have? Where did you hear about it?
I hear more information, but I can explain
Okay. So prompt engineering is a skill set, and you'll actually see this on some jobs. You might even see on LinkedIn job postings for prompt engineer. This is an emerging thing. Who knows what it's going to look like going forward? But it is basically learning the tools and becoming an expert in the tools, knowing exactly how they work and knowing how to efficiently use them. Knowing exactly what types of prompts to enter to get the perfect or ideal output. And now the recipe is a simple example, but imagine if you're working on a team and you want to increase your efficiency and productivity on your team. You could build entire documents on how to use tools like GenAI tools to go forward with your work and then have those outlined in an efficient way or an effective way. Online AI whispering. So have you heard of like horse whisperers? So one student recommended said AI whispering. I think that's a great analogy. Here are a few popular GenAI tools. We've got ChatGPT, Copilot, which used to be called Bing Chat, Google Bard, and DALL-E. DALL-E is the image generating tool that is from the same organization as ChatGPT, OpenAI. So we're going to take a moment to look at ChatGPT, and if you're online or in person and you want to follow along, you can. But let's take a look here. So that way you can at least see what I'm talking about. Stop sharing and reshare the browser. Oh, I guess I was already in the browser. Hang tight, folks. Here we go. Well, no, I guess that, yeah, it's doing a weird. Full screen mode. All right. Folks online, can you see the ChatGPT screen? Cool, thank you for the chat. Okay, so real quick, we're not going to spend a lot of time doing this. We will in 20 minutes during the open session. This is ChatGPT. So I mentioned there is a prompt section. You can see that at the bottom where it says message ChatGPT. And then it lists other conversations you've had on your left. This is the paid version, so we can use ChatGPT 4. Just a quick note, GPT-4 is the current language model, and 3.5 is the other one that's available to the public for free. So let's see. Who has a good idea for something that I can message ChatGPT about? Anyone in the room or online?
Maybe a math equation.
Math equation. Let me know what I should enter.
How about the standard equation of a circle?
Okay, so I can enter it like this, and it will probably interpret it as providing that. I can also ask it, what is the standard equation of a circle? It is designed to be conversational. But let's start with that and see what happens. So I want to just point out a couple things while it's happening. It's very fast, and a lot of folks that have never seen this before, it's like, oh my goodness, how is it doing this? Some of you may have seen that before, but here is the definition. Standard equation of a circle in the Cartesian coordinate system is given by the formula. Here, xy represents a point on the circle, hk is the center of the circle, and r is the radius of the circle. The equation essentially states that every point on the circle is at a distance r, the radius, and the center of hk of the circle. Thoughts on that response?
What does that even mean?
Great. So now here's an example of an iteration. So if I'm a student and I'm trying to learn about this information, which is pulled from all of its sources, then I might say, help me understand what this means. Or I could be like you and I could say, what does this even mean?
Yeah.
And now it's going to explain it further. Here's another good example of the output being formatted. So it's creating a numerical list that is actually going through each component that it was previously describing and providing more information to read, etc. And then it closes with a summary that is in simple terms. How do you feel about that? That's cool.
Yeah, it's nice that you don't have to search, because a lot of times you would just say, what is the equation? You've got to click a link, go to some other website. You're scrolling like all the way down. You know, with this, it's kind of just right there, so you can reference it.
Yes.
Is it right?
Yeah, how would you determine the accuracy?
Yeah, exactly. So that is something that comes up, and we'll talk a little bit about that. There is no way to verify if this is accurate just with this alone. Because if I ask it, is this accurate? What do you think it's going to say? It's going to say, yes, the explanation is accurate. So from an information literacy perspective, from a researcher / you want to know if the information is correct angle, you're going to need to think about cross-referencing this with something like the other resources that your professor has provided or other information that's out there from authoritative websites. Probably can find authoritative websites that provide the equation of a circle pretty easily, but then you can think about using this, in this case, as maybe a better example for understanding the concept after you get the definition. I'm seeing a lot in the chat, so I want to make sure you all are adhered to. We've got some really good stuff here. Some ideas for prompts, how to convert city waste into power, how to simulate a difficult conversation for a novel you are writing. You can tell it to not use bullet points. ChatGPT loves its lists. You can ask for a business plan. You can have it explain in a certain way or simplify the information. And then one participant said that you can cross-reference this with Copilot. Now, one thing that we'll switch into with Copilot, Copilot is Microsoft's version of the similar tool. The main difference between ChatGPT and Copilot is that Copilot also is integrated into the Bing search engine. So when you use Copilot, you can get references. The way that ChatGPT works, it is bringing in all of that data, but the owners of ChatGPT have not disclosed what all that data is, and it synthesizes in such a way that it's not going to be providing a source for the information, because it's actually probably pulling gazillion sources just for a single answer. It also is not actively connected to the internet the same way Copilot is. So when you ask it for a source, it's not going to be able to search online and find you a source to integrate into its answer. Copilot, however, can. So this is what I actually do recommend using Copilot for a lot of things that require sources. So let's try it. Copilot, which is still sometimes referred to as Bing Chat, but it has been rebranded officially as Copilot. This is Copilot. So it's a similar kind of interface. You have your prompt bar at the bottom. You have some ideas for things you can use. You can write limericks or grocery lists or Python scripts, an outline of a book, etc. If I go in here and I ask it equation of a circle, while it's doing this, I'm going to say that it uses the GPT technology. Microsoft and OpenAI have a partnership, so it's able to use the same technology that ChatGPT uses. But notice this. It's providing a nice explanation of the circle, and it's providing sources. So in this case, it provides a link to a Khan Academy website, web page, that provides information about the circle. A couple of those, and then also a website called Third Space Learning. How all of that technology works, how it integrates the search engine into its responses is a bigger conversation, and I'm not an expert on that. But you can think about this as being a really good platform over ChatGPT if you need the sources to back up the information. Maybe getting help creating novel ideas or creating a business plan might be okay in ChatGPT, but when the source is required, you really need to consider using a tool like Copilot. Okay, we've got a lot more to cover, so we're going to keep going. But out of those two, anything that popped up for anyone? Anything you noticed from using those tools? Thoughts?
Oh, you're kind of formatted the same. Like, can they answer you?
They both formatted similarly, yep. Participant online recommends using both. So in higher ed, we might be asking, well, how would I even use any of these in my life as a student? Well, we're seeing students using GenAI in a variety of ways already. Creating new works. So maybe you're a student and you're working on poetry assignment. You've never written a haiku. You can ask the platform to write a couple of haikus as examples. Editing works. Maybe you wrote a really great paper, but you're kind of unsure of your English, and you want it to help refine your English. You could put your paper in and ask it to provide some feedback or edits. Asking for help. You don't know too much about circles, but you want to learn more. You don't know too much about making that casserole, but you want to learn more. Retrieving information. So similar to a search engine, you can use these tools to just retrieve simple information for you. We're seeing GenAI used across disciplines for a variety of reasons. And one of the ways that I've seen a lot of students using it is as a tutor. So I literally have heard of students that have an account and they talk to it like a human, and it just helps digest information and process information, present information that they've learned in class in new ways. There are some benefits to using these tools. There's familiar, friendly voice. You can have it describe things to you in different ways to support your own learning style. Or maybe you have a learning disability. It can respond to some of that. It's precise, it's iterative, provides technological access, and it has an ease of use that we have never really seen before in terms of conducting research. But it does require an internet connection most of the time, and it does have that cost that we talked about earlier. We've seen students using it for brainstorming, coming up with ideas for their papers. These are ethical uses. These are good, strong uses of using this technology. Editing or reviewing their documents, checking for problems in grammar, syntax, and language, and experimenting with it just to be aware of how it's coming out in the world, to be ready for it in the workplace. But we've also, in higher ed, seen unethical uses. This happens a lot. I'm not going to point fingers, but I've seen it. Students who've used these tools to create their papers for them and do the work for them. Using some of these prompts and responses as credible and authoritative information. When Aaron, you pointed out, how do I know if it's even right? And it might not be credible or authoritative. It's not cross-referenced. Using these tools and providing output information without saying that you're doing it. This is coming up more and more. Professors are saying, I don't know if my student is using these tools on my work, on the work that I'm asking them to create. I'm not sure, and it's really unnerving. And copying output from GenAI tools without adding any citations. All of this murky stuff falls under some of this academic dishonesty language that we have in our code of conduct or our student handbook that covers things like plagiarism. And so I want you to be aware that how you use it as a student or in general might have implications. So being clear about how you're using it is a really good step, and we'll get to the best practices in a second. Couple things online. I treat it like I'm asking a super smart friend questions for help with things. You can prompt it to act like whomever, whenever, whatever you choose. I've made chatbots be Zeus and Odin and give me wisdom. In the workforce, we see countless examples of GenAI used as well. Sometimes intentionally and sometimes because it just happens to be showing up in those other products, like I mentioned. People are using it in the workforce for business documents and templates, emails and meeting agendas, speeches and formal announcements, translations, localizations, so bringing things that have been created in one country into another. Simple code for computer programming and getting some of the basic stuff generated so one can work on more advanced tasks. I have a friend who works in the film industry in Hollywood. A lot of the lighting that's happening in visual effects is now all automated using GenAI tools. That on one hand allows folks to use their artistic expertise and work on really cool stuff. But most of those jobs that were for all of that lighting was entry level. So now the entry level jobs are gone. So there's flip sides to this automation. My partner uses ChatGPT. She's building a curriculum for K through 12. She uses ChatGPT to edit the curriculum and refine it and stylize it in the ways that we saw with that circle example. She uses it every day for her job. So we're seeing it emerge. It's emerging in the health world, in radiology, it's in nursing as well. There's a lot of different applications of how it's showing up in the workforce. Have any of you experienced it in the jobs that you've had or are considering? All right, we are getting close to the end.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah.
At WorkSource, they were talking about using Bard and things like that to do your resumes and help with those.
Help with resumes. So, yeah, it can help with resumes, cover
Not
letters.
to do it for you, but to check it.
Yeah. Some people are also having it do it for them. There's a few big issues in addition to those unethical uses I mentioned. These tools are notorious for providing hallucinations. Have any of you heard of this fun concept? No, not when you drank your 11th margarita on Saturday. When you stayed up all night studying for a final. The hallucinations are when these tools create sources, when you ask them to create sources, and they can't. So when ChatGPT creates a source, you ask it to tell it where it got its information from, it might give you a source, or it might say sources like this, this, and this, but they're actually not real. And they create them because there's some weird thing that AI technology has about fulfilling your request, even if the information is not fully correct or is based on real information. So a source that sounds like a source, but is not real. So further for looking up and cross-referencing that information. Lack of citable sources, covered that a little bit already. Rules and standards and oversight. So technology that is created by companies that might have restrictions on it based on what the company wants or the organization wants, rather than having it be completely open and free. There's barriers to access. Not everyone can use these tools. Not everyone has the internet or has the money to pay for it. Bias in data sets and design. This is a big one, and we're going to cover this in the ethics workshop. Talk about it a lot there. But when you're taking tools that take other information, if that information has bias, these tools might have bias. That means that things like structural racism, sexism, and other forms of oppression can lead into and feed the output that you get in these tools as well, making it very problematic. And then also, we're going to be talking about this in the other two workshops, violations of intellectual property. These tools took information and brought it into their data sets without asking the publishers and authors and artists for permission. And privacy considerations. When you create these tools, create an account with these tools, you're often required to give them your email or phone number or both. And suddenly, some of your information might be tied to what you're using the tools for. ChatGPT got hacked over the summer last year. Who knows how much personal information was stolen from that? So be aware. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of colleges aren't requiring these tools, because they don't want their students to have their identities stolen or compromised. There's some big privacy issues. Yeah.
I use my ChatGPT account with my 4 friends.
With your friends? Oh, you share it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be one way to combat the privacy issue. It's not tied to one person.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. All right, we're right down to the end of the wire with our this presentation. What can we do? Learn, question, communicate, and think about expertise. Stay on top of the GenAI tools by looking at the news. They're in the news every day. There's new stuff coming out about them every day. Be aware of how this may be impacting your world. As someone going into the workforce, I guarantee you this will come up. It might not be impacting your job immediately, but it will be in the conversation within the next year or decade. Already seeing evidence of that in my own research. Communicate, participate in online communities, or talk with your peers and your professor about it. And stay supported with the help of folks like me, the librarian, or other experts in your community. As a student, these are recommendations for you as students. Always look at your syllabus or your assignment language on how much you can use these tools, if at all. Hopefully there will be something. If regardless, there's something or not, communicate with your professor early on to talk with them about the requirements or expectations with these tools. Be aware of differing opinions. You might already love using ChatGPT, but your professor might hate it. Be ready for that. You might not be able to use it, and if you're used to using it, that might be a problem. Stay up to date, as I mentioned, and acknowledge over-reliance. Similar to how when we do math, we might use the calculator a little bit too much. We might not remember our multiplication tables anymore, if you're like me. That could be problematic if you don't know how to write a basic email or text message because you've had these tools doing that for years. There could be some problems with that. And like with any work that you're creating at school, use citations or statements of use to talk about where you got your information. That is a final best practice. So I want to thank everyone today. We are a couple minutes over 10:30, so I appreciate folks that are sticking around a little bit after the full hour. But I want to remind folks online and in person that this recording will be shared. There will be the PowerPoint slides as well, and a survey to see what you all thought and what you would want. The future trainings are on the posters around campus, and I think most of you are on them, but they're coming up in a couple weeks. There's the training on ethics, where we really dive into ethical issues a lot further than I did today. And then the visual world, how AI has impacted the visual world, specifically with copyright issues and intellectual property and legality, issues of legality. So looking forward to seeing everyone at those, if you can make it. Otherwise, any last questions before we take a short break?
With setting up AI for the first time, who on campus can help with that?
I can help. Also, e-learning is available. They're experts. They technically don't support students directly, but I know that e-learning it has helped students in the past, and they might be able to. But I would come to me first, and then I can see what you need. Good question. Any other questions? Anything online? Anyone want to unmute or? Okay. Well, I'm going to end the recording. For those of you that are sticking around for the open session, we're just going to play around, go through some prompts together, and answer any other questions in a smaller group. You're more than welcome to stick around for that. I'll see you in a couple minutes.
Thank you.